In the early 1980s, John Harder was the classic, athletic, popular kid at his high school in Delaware, Ohio. John was set to graduate from high school on June 5th, 1983. John's high school began selling these tickets to a grad night at a huge amusement park called Kings Island. At about 3:30 p.m. on Friday, May 13th, these students were responsible for driving themselves to the park. John, who had been a passenger, had drank half a bottle of rum and about 3 to 6 beers. And so when he got out, he could barely stand. He was so drunk. In John's particular group was his girlfriend Pam, and for the first hour they were in the park together, all they did was bicker and fight. By 8:30 p.m., when John's group had gotten in line for this roller coaster, John was now openly saying, "I don't want to be here anymore, I just want to go home." And then after the ride was over, and they're looking around, and John is nowhere to be found. They decided that, you know what, I'm sure we'll see him later in the night. It wasn't until the end of the night that they started walking out and wondering where John was. And then eventually the security guard comes out front and locks the front gate. And that's when the group knew they had a problem. After an extensive investigation by police, this is their best guess as to what happened to John. After John rode that roller coaster, John stumbled his way towards the replica Eiffel Tower. This tower was built to be an exact replica of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France. It had 3 elevators that went up the center of the structure. In 1983, the park actually had a flight of stairs that went all the way to the very top of the tower. He took the stairs and he climbs onto this narrow beam and just begins walking along this beam towards the center of the tower where the 3 elevator shafts are. A large metal rope was attached to the top of the elevator car where it was fed through a pulley that was anchored to the ceiling, and then that rope was attached to a counterweight. Anytime the elevator car moved up, the counterweight would move down and vice versa. And so John is standing right on the edge of this elevator shaft when that elevator car starts to actually descend away from John. This counterweight comes screaming up and carries him up into the shaft. The impact on John was so strong that it's believed he was actually impaled on some of the exposed metal wiring. The elevator operator, he actually noticed when John got stuck on the counterweight, but of course this worker would have no idea that's what it was. He decided he would ride back up to the top to make sure that the car actually worked, when all of a sudden he hears an unbelievably loud thud, and then blood began pouring over the sides of the car over the windows. When that elevator worker decided to go back up again, it reversed the direction of the counterweight, and so John would fall 200 feet and he would land on top of that elevator car, dying instantly. As for the police, they knew they had a dead body, but they had no way to identify the body. And so it wasn't until John's friends went up and spoke to a security guard, and that security guard would tell them that actually there had been an accident and the police are still trying to identify this body, and they would confirm that the body was John Harder. To this day, no one knows for sure why John did what he did, but regardless of his reasons, John had clearly intentionally entered an area that was off limits, and it got him killed.